Good morning. Before we start talking about today's topic, about the beauty of martial arts and combat sports, public safety announcement. Please do not text and drive. Do not do something to get distracted. I have the DJI Osmo Nano, which has the huge benefit of being small and not having a display when you detach it from the main mod. So what I did, I put it here with a magnet next to my door. I removed the display and I will not look at the camera, I will not get distracted. I treat it as if we were on speakerphone. Please drive safe, don't get distracted. I see way too many people texting or even video filming, vlogging with the camera in their hand with it, for example, the DJI Pocket 3. Not only are they holding it in their hand, but they also look at the display and get distracted whilst driving. Please do not endanger your own life and endanger the people around you. Drive safe. All right, with that out of the way, today's topic is the beauty of martial arts and combat sports. I'm currently on my way to the gym, to Muay Thai training. Pretty soon I will be traveling to Bangkok to do a Muay Thai camp at the Superborn Muay Thai Academy. If you don't know, Superborn is a professional fighter in one championship. And let me just merge to the other side here real quick. Always do shoulder checks. Really important because maybe there's a motorcycle rider or anything. So I love martial arts. I have been training martial arts since I've been small. I started as a kid because I was bullied and I was always the smallest kid in school. And therefore my parents put me into Kung Fu classes where we also did kickboxing. That was really good for me, but in a tournament I got beaten up so massively that I quit at the age of, I believe, 11. And then I became, I did for physical activity as a kid, I did lifeguard, I did swimming. Also competitively, but not that intensely. Then I became a little bit older in the 90s when I was an adult or in puberty. And in Germany, you're legally an adult when you're 18. I unfortunately had some issues with racism. I got beaten up once or twice, unfortunately. And yeah, I didn't do any martial arts, but then I thought, okay, let's start again. I did Aikido, which honestly, I do like the philosophy, but I didn't like the training. And I would argue I did it quite a long time. First and foremost, I don't believe it is very applicable in a self-defense scenario. And then what I don't like, and this is something that I experienced with Kung Fu and then afterwards with BJJ and ninjutsu, I experienced that as well. I feel like all the martial arts where they have a belt system, there is a high likeliness that either your trainer or some people in the gym, develop some kind of superiority complex where they believe once they have achieved a specific belt, they can kind of feel not only superior, but kind of dunk on people that are below their belts. And I didn't like that at all. So after Aikido, I went to BJJ and ninjutsu, which I really liked. And I felt that was definitely something that has been somewhat applicable to a self-defense scenario. But as I said, the belt system, I didn't like at all. The trainer was terrible, the head trainer, and some of the people that were kind of designated to become an assistant coach had that kind of problem with superiority complex as well. I didn't like that at all. I left and put on hazard lights. In Germany, when there is a hazard, but also a traffic jam, we put on hazard lights. So people behind us know that on a highway where you have high speeds, they have to brake. And then please also leave a little bit safety distance to the people in front of you. So if someone would crash into me, I would not crash into the car in front of me. So, and creating even more of a mess. That is really important because I'm not sure in other countries, but in this, oh, why are you so fast? Please slow down. All right. Because if someone is crashing into you and you crash into the front, the one behind you takes care of your damage and you have to take care of the damage of the car in front of you. So having a little bit of safety distance is a good precaution method, not only to take care of yourself, but also take care of your insurance. So yeah, then came COVID. I left the first gym and my buddy of mine said, hey, after COVID, I'm here in the Muay Thai gym and boxing. He was in the same gym like I was before. And I went training there and I love Muay Thai. There's no belt system. There's mostly no ego. And I feel like Muay Thai and boxing are I feel at least I would always run away in a situation where there's danger. Please do not get into a fight because you never know who you might encounter, especially, and I see that so many times with sparring, if you have a person that never trained before and is not very knowledgeable about fighting, in their first sparring situation, they do so many weird things that it is so different sparring with someone who knows what he or she is doing against someone who doesn't know. So, and that's basically quite a good simulation of a street fight. You encounter someone who doesn't know a fight and who throws weird attacks, and it's so difficult to kind of defend against that. But more importantly, you don't know if that person has a knife. So if you get into a situation, run away. That's the best thing. But training boxing and Muay Thai definitely gives me some form of confidence that I could deal out some damage in order to give me a couple of seconds to run away safely or more safely. So yeah, I love Muay Thai and I'm really looking forward to the training camp. And now to the main topic, the beauty of martial arts. And I feel like that is a paradox in itself from many people's perspective, because I've heard that so many times with people who want to start, who think something along the lines, oh, I don't want to get beaten up, or I don't want to hurt someone. And I do feel like these martial arts or combat sport gyms are full of testosterone and it's like, oh, I want to kill somebody, or I need to hurt somebody, and they are afraid of this over aggressiveness. But let me tell you, that is the completely wrong perception. Don't get me wrong, there are some gyms like that, but I've been in many gyms, and yes, I just said there is some ego in those gyms where there is a belt, but it's not everyone. Basically, people who know what they're doing, basically people who know how to fight, they are so much more respectful. They measure you, they know, okay, that person doesn't know what he or she is doing, let's go soft. And if you tell most persons, hey, let's go lightly, most people respect that. And most of the time, at least with me and other who I train, we try to train technically. We try to practice. Everyone is there to learn something, to get better at the craft. And therefore, it's most of the time, and I want to say most of the time because there are obviously exceptions. Most of the time, people are there to learn and to just acknowledge, hey, we are all there to learn something new, to practice, to get better, and not to have an ego in our way. Again, there are exceptions, obviously, especially if you go to one of those, and I don't mean this in a negative way, it's just the situation, the environment they're in. If you go to, for example, like a UFC or a mixed martial arts gym, most of those people train to actually compete, to fight. That's a different story. But even there, people who are very skillful, they will be very respectful. Most of the time, the people who are not respectful are the people who want to prove themselves and who haven't pretty much learned enough or experienced enough to be kind of put into their places, and or haven't been checked with their ego yet. But most of the time, everyone is extremely nice, and I built so many good friendships in martial arts. But also, it's really important to acknowledge, even if you don't like someone, and if at some point maybe you go a little bit too hard in sparring, afterwards there is so much more respect afterwards if you leave it all on the table in the ring. Obviously not in the way that anyone gets hurt, but most of the time, if you can say stop, it's a little bit too much, those people back down. I mean, one tip that I can give you if you start out, if you do sparring, recognize that weight classes are there for a reason, and most people don't really think about that. For example, I'm fairly light. I weigh 64 kilograms. And I'm tiny. And most of the people who I go to the gym are much taller, much heavier, and even if they think or believe they go light and they kind of pull their punches, the weight of their fist is just enough to give me like having my head bump back. And they don't realize that. And that is definitely something that you need to learn and also acknowledge. Most people don't do it maliciously. They do it because they don't know better. And then, unfortunately, there's not much that you as a small person can do about it besides getting better at your defense. But just acknowledge most of these heavier, in air quotes, people that are heavier than you, just don't know it. Most of the times they pull their punches, but they don't realize that you are much lighter than they are. And if you acknowledge that, and if you realize that, you actually don't get angry that fast. It is definitely something I had to learn in the beginning, and where I personally got angry quite a lot. But then I just told myself, okay, I guess he is pulling his punches, but he's so for example, I have this one guy who is double the weight of me. He tries to pull his punches, but he's just much heavier. And when I, for example, teep, which is a front kick to the body to kind of create some distance, I basically push myself away. And I don't push him away, I push myself away, basically. So now I talked a lot about that the environment isn't as bad. So what's the beauty about martial arts? The beauty about martial arts is not only do you learn your own body, you learn how to potentially defend yourself, but more importantly, the beauty about martial arts and combat sports to me is that this is a physical activity in an environment where you are actually fully dedicated with all of your attention to that activity, to that sport, because you quickly learn, if you don't invest all of your energy, all of your attention and your mental power to that present activity, the martial arts, if you spar, even if you're holding pads for someone else or someone else holds the pads for you, if you are not present, you miscalculate your kick, you miscalculate the kick of your training partner, or you don't defend properly in sparring, and then either you or your training partner gets hurt because you miss. For example, you try to kick the pad, but you don't put a lot of attention into it. You miscalculate where you hit, and then you hit accidentally your training partner in the head. Happens to some of them. I got a few kicks into my head as well, where I was training with a novice and I didn't pay attention and I got kicked in the head. That happens. And that is where you learn really fast to pay attention, to be in the moment. And this is something that is not possible with many other physical activities. I always try to compare it to a gym, for example. If I'm on a treadmill, if I'm on an ellipse trainer, if I'm pushing weights, I still have so much mental capacity to drift off to anything else. And most of the times it's the problems, the responsibilities that you have that are weighing on your shoulder. And most of the time, those activities are not relaxing to me because I am still completely invested in the day and my problems instead of in the activity that I thought I was doing to kind of reset my mindset. And with martial arts, it's so much easier to do so. With combat sports, you are very fast reminded that you need to pay attention, especially because someone else is involved. I mean, I would argue something like skateboarding has a similar effect, because if you don't do a kickflip correctly, you potentially have the board on your shin, or maybe if you do a varial flip, for example, for those of you who know a little bit about skateboarding, if you don't do it correctly, you might land with your balls on top of the board, and that hurts, I know. What's it called, varial? I'm not sure, but where you kind of twist or flip the board vertically. And that hurts a lot. That sucks if that happens. But yeah, those activities where you can get hurt, those are the ones that will put you into your place and remind you that you need to think about what you're doing. And that is, I feel like, the beauty. And because you put all of your attention into the activity, and then you have the ability to also exert yourself after the training, I always feel so good because I was exhausted. I was able to switch off my brain and to only think about that activity. That is a huge deal. It is so good to kind of, as I just said, reset my brain, reset what I have to do to kind of relax. And it sounds so paradox to feel relaxed when you get punched in the face or when you are doing something, in air quotes, violent. But it is actually, because you are so focused. And nowadays it is so difficult to focus on one thing and to put your undivided attention to one specific activity. And from my personal experience, martial arts and combat sports are one of the very few things where you can put your undivided attention to that. So that is why I find it such a beautiful activity. And you can do something physical, you train your mental capacity, because let's be real, many people think it's just punching something, but you need to remember those combinations. And then also, and you would be surprised how difficult it is in the beginning to actually know or understand what your body needs to do to punch. And it was difficult for me in the beginning, and I see it with a lot of people who come to the gym the first time. Understanding the mechanics of your body and what to do. You think it's easy. It's definitely not. And so that is a thing. Mentally, physically, and attention thing is something that you train. And you get to know so many people, because in the gym, it's very easy to just train alone. In a martial arts gym, you always are in communication with someone else, and then you suddenly start talking about stuff. And especially if you, for example, if you struggle to find new friends, a martial arts gym is, from my perspective, a really easy way to get to know other people. Even if you're an introvert, even if you don't know what to talk about, there you have something to talk about. You will ask, hey, did I do this correctly? How do I do this better? Oh, this was so much fun. And you have right away something to talk about, which makes making friends so much easier. All right, so that was my video about the beauty of martial arts, what I thought about this. Have you ever tried martial arts? Let me know which one and what was your experience. And maybe check out my video from yesterday up here. YouTube thinks I like the video down here. And don't forget to subscribe by clicking the button up here. That way we see each other on the next video. Thank you very much.